Okay, so now it's time to start talking about animation concepts as well. Keys. So this might turn out to be one of the most important terms in animation. You're going to be using this term as well as the following terms and concepts all the time, and it's going to help us a lot when planning our animations. In a way, they're going to be the foundation of our animations. Knowing what our keys are in an animation will help us plan the whole thing, and then talk about the different sections of our animation so that we can visualize what's going on a little better. So for now, let's think of keys as our story drawings in an animation or a shot. We can also think of them as the drawings we need to understand what's going on in the shot. They can be considered as our storytelling moments within the shot. So for example, let's look at a bouncing ball to understand this and break it down. Within this bouncing ball, what are the main drawings that we would need in the shot? All right, so right away we know that the ball is going to be bouncing in these spots in certain moments throughout the shot. So this is the most basic information we will need about our bouncing ball. So these are going to become our keys. We need this basic information for the shot or for the animation to make sense. In terms of importance, is the most basic information we need about the bouncing ball, our contact points and our highest points. So after we have this, then we can fill in the rest. But the important thing to remember here is that the keys will really help us to know this very rough, basic information of the animation to plan our shot in the future and then go from there. So once again, they are going to become the foundation of our animation. So this very basic concept will be applied as we get more and more advanced in animation, and then we do full character animation with full characters. You will learn to break things down in animation and start from very simple and then fill more and more stuff while having your foundation well planned out. So after we have our main keys figured out, another very important concept and information is needed. It's called a breakdown drawing. It could be defined as the passing position between two keys. So for example, let's go back to the bouncing ball example. We have our main keys figured out. We know the bouncing ball will be bouncing in these spots and hit those top heights. So let's figure out our breakdown between the first two keys. We'll call these keys key A and key B. Our first instinct is to somehow put the breakdown drawing right in between both keys, which is not exactly what we want, because what this is going to give us is going to be a straight line trajectory. But we have to remember we are dealing with a bouncing ball. A bouncing ball has an arc as it bounces. So because we have an arc, then our breakdown passing position of the ball will be crucial and will be really important to sell the idea of this arc. So instead, our breakdown position will be here. So from here, just by having two keys and one breakdown, we are already selling the idea of an arc. And then we can figure out easily the other breakdown positions.
It helps to define the trajectories of a pose. Like you might have two extreme poses of somebody drawing back and then throwing a punch. But you need a breakdown pose to know whether, did that punch arc out this way, or did he punch this way, or was it an uppercut? You don't know that from just pose and this pose. So the breakdowns help to determine the trajectories.
With the breakdown, you're telling the computer, okay, I don't want you to create one of your infinite in-betweens in between my two poses. I want to tell you where to go. The breakdowns are so undervalued, I think, by a lot of people that are starting computer animation. They just think, well, look, I've done this pose, I've done that pose, and look, there it gets from that pose to that pose. But if you haven't made a decision on how it gets there, you're just going to have something that lacks life, lacks interest.
So from now on, and because it's been always used in a 2D traditional animation world, the drawings in between pose or key drawings will be referred as in-between drawings. That completely applies to the computer animation world. So in our basic A to B ball example, we have our key A and our key B. Any drawings that are going to be between A and B are going to be the in-between drawings. So in our example of the ball going from A to B, we refer to spacing as those gaps that tell us where the ball is on each frame. So on his book, The Animator's Survival Kit, Richard Williams talks about spacing and timing in a very clear and simple way. We have like a bouncing ball, bong, bong, bong. These moments right here, bong, 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 those could be considered the timing of your animation, almost like the beat. So now, where the ball is, like where the ball is situated, let's say all these moments where the ball is at, that's considered the spacing. So I guess it will be something like here, this spacing, this spacing. So where the ball is in a space, that's what it's called spacing. Many animators I know, when they are actually talking about timing, they combine the terms timing and spacing when talking about timing in general, because those two are such an important part of any animation.
Yeah, like first you start with your keys and your main poses, and then you add your breakdowns and stuff like that. Oh, one of the things like I found, like the whole swimmy computery thing, is like you know, like in traditional you have in-betweeners. You know, like you set your keys and someone else would do the in-betweens and stuff like that. Yeah. Like in CG we have to do it all ourselves. But like if you don't do it yourself, there's actually an in-betweener, and it's the computer. And the computer is like the worst in-betweener in the world because it's so perfect. It's like sets everything right in the middle, and then it's like even spacing all around. And I think that's kind of where the computery feel, the floaty feel kind of comes from. Like when you first start out, is that you don't do proper breakdowns and you let the computer do it for you. That's what I found in my own work. That if you let the computer do too much, then it just turns out horrible. Yeah.
So slow in and slow out, as discussed in The Illusion of Life, is basically putting in between drawings close to each extreme pose and only one fleeting drawing halfway between. Or in other words, easing in and easing out of the extreme positions, as Richard Williams talks in The Animator's Survival Kit. Think of it as cushion drawings for each key drawing. So for example, we have our main two key drawings, A and B. We will find the half point between these two key drawings, and then we make that drawing. So now we find the half point of this drawing we just made, and the two key drawings, and so on. So these extra drawings spaced out this way will give us the illusion of the object slowing out or easing out of the move, and slowing into or easing into the move.
You don't have slow in and slow out, you have a lot of jerky scenes that just a jerk.
So at this point, we are assuming that you are just starting to animate. So we are gonna try to get as basic as we can, and hopefully give you like a very strong foundation so that you can start building and layering your animation knowledge from very simple to like very, to like more complex advanced stuff. So with that in mind, we're gonna start out with just a little simple exercise, which is the bouncing ball. So we're gonna go ahead and animate a bouncing ball using only timing and spacing as our tools. In later classes, we'll learn about layering things like squash, stretch, and overlap and other things. But for our purposes on this class, we're only going to pay attention to the timing and the spacing of a bouncing ball. So with this said, it's important that we start observing things. how things move, how long do they take to move, bouncing balls, people playing basketball, a car starting or a car coming to a stop. Real life is going to be one of our best textbooks from now on. An observation, I guess for me, it started out as, as a habit, but then as I was getting more and more into animation, and as I was getting deeper into animation, it turned out to be an obsession. And that obsession, it ended up being like the best tool that I have as an animator. Just paying attention to every single thing that goes on around you and see how everything moves, how everyone talks, how everyone gestures. It's kind of hard at the beginning, but in the end, you're gonna get used to paying attention to the smallest things that you can actually apply to your animations. So from now on, we're gonna start really paying attention and really analyzing and studying live action footage, because it all starts from the things that are around us. It all starts from watching how things move so that people can relate to it.